Hello and welcome to my submission video for Summer Games Done Quick 2018. I'm JB Roms and today I'll be showing you Tetris the Grandmaster 2's Item Mode. The Tetris the Grandmaster series has become a popular mainstay at GDQ events in recent years, and this mode has actually been shown once before at Summer Games Done Quick 2015. However, at that time it was shown as more of a showcase, and the runner purposefully demonstrated every item's effects. In a more serious item mode run, you do not want to do this. Now, jumping right into the action, you can actually see that I already have an item on the field labeled Transform. And you can see I'm actually stacking around it and purposely not clearing those lines. I just had another item spawn named Roll, and now I'm in an interesting position where I have to choose between Transform or Roll. Clearing one will force the other off of the screen, but I will definitely have to take the effects of one. In that case, I chose to pick Transform because Transform is much more controllable than Roll. Now, after taking Transform, I downstacked quite a bit, so I'm going to build up again from the bottom. At some point, an item is going to spawn, and here it is now, the laser. As you can see, it's labeled at the top, and I can clearly see which piece I would have to clear in order to activate the laser. As you can see, I'm purposely building around it, such as with that J placement, in a way that I don't actually clear that piece out, because I want another item to spawn. That way I have a choice between two, and clearing one item out will again get rid of the other one. In this case, Color Block spawned, and Color Block happens to be the most benign of all items. It just makes the screen kind of shimmery for a few seconds, doesn't last very long, and that was definitely the one that I decided to take over the laser, which, in terms of a pure time attack, takes way longer than Color Block. During this short reprieve from the items, I would just like to point out that actually getting to the max rank in item mode is incredibly difficult. I did do it in this video, so this is considered a 100% run, but the run done at GDQ would definitely be considered at any percent. Now, the next item to spawn was 180 Field, and 180 Field is an absolutely brutal item, so I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. As you can see, this is actually eliciting some very creative stacking out of me, and item mode puts you in these positions quite often, which is why I very much so enjoy this game mode. It really forces you to think on your feet and be flexible. Now, thankfully, Delfield Upper spawns, and Delfield Upper is one of the good items in the game, and the good items usually just delete or make your stack a little more manageable. In that case, it just deletes the upper half of the playfield, and it's very useful, but if you're going for a 100% run, it can also be kind of deadly because it takes away pieces you need to clear to get to a certain grade. Now, I downstacked again because I want to get multiple items on the playfield if at all possible, and I had Del Even spawn. Del Even is again one of the good items, and it deletes every even row. Ideally, I'll clear Del Even instead of some bad item that will spawn soon enough. A bit of an unfortunate misdrop there, but thankfully I'm still at the early stages of the game where the gravity is kind of low and I'm able to build around it. It is very important in this situation that I keep the right side of the playfield open so I can clear through down the Del Even if I needed to, like I did there. My other option was Mirror Block, which flips the playfield back and forth a couple times as if it's been run through a mirror. If I had taken Mirror Block, I would have ended up in a situation where my well would have been on the left side, which is actually the unfavorable direction in this rotation system, so it was definitely beneficial to take Del Even. Now, my next item to spawn was X-Ray. X-Ray is reminiscent of this game's famous invisible credit roll, but it's not quite there. It kind of flips through the pieces, and most players of any competent level are able to see it. So now I have a choice between X-Ray and Hard Block, and Hard Block completely messes up my stack, so X-Ray was definitely the right call here. And as you can see, I can still sort of see what's happening. It's not much of a big deal. I don't have any items on the field at the moment, so I would rather just downstack so when they do come I can fit more on the screen. I will go through every item once before I loop through and start going through the items again. Now, I'm actually building myself into a very bad position here where an item spawns and I have to immediately clear it without a choice in the matter at all. And very unfortunately, that item happened to be Dark Block. As you can see, Dark Block makes the entire playfield dark, and you are essentially playing invisible Tetris, as you may have seen in this game's credit roll before. Thankfully, I had a very clean stack, and I was able to downstack during the Dark Block with relative ease, and now I'm back at the bottom of the playfield, and I would like to remain here if at all possible, because the closer I can get an item to the bottom, the better it'll be for me in the long run. In this case, the item that spawns is Death Block. Death Block will create a double-sized Tetris block, and if you're stacked up too high, it'll just immediately kill you. But even if you're not stacked up too high, it's an item that you definitely want to avoid. You can see I'm going through great lengths purposely not to clear that line, and I even made a grave misdrop that in a way actually helped me, because it forced me to never be able to clear down to Death Block. Instead, Delfield Lower spawned, and I positioned the pieces in a way that I was able to immediately build a single and clear out the lower half of the playfield. As we cross the level 400 barrier, we're getting closer to the end of the first set of items. However, this game purposely saves the worst items for last. So first that comes out is Exchange Field. Exchange Field actually does nothing. These are, in fact, multiplayer items, and Exchange Field in multiplayer will switch your playfield with your opponents. I don't have an opponent, so it does absolutely nothing to my stack. However, using exchange field to eliminate another item is a common tactic. In this case, I had a good item spawn, so I didn't want to take exchange field at all, and I immediately took move field right. Move field right moves everything to the right, as it says, and basically gives you a nice clean stack with a well on the left. While the left side well isn't the most optimal thing, it's certainly better than having a bad stack in this. Freefall is another very useful item. Freefall forces any block that has a hole below it down into where that hole is. In a way, basically everything is free falling, as if gravity were applied to everything immediately. Freefall is a very useful way to clean up your stack, and you want to use it to eliminate bad items, such as shotgun, which would literally blow holes in your stack as if it's a shotgun. It's one of the worst items you can possibly get, but it's not as bad as what's about to come. There's no specific order of the items in item mode, but there definitely is one item that tends to be at the last of the pile, and that's Negafield. It switches every single block with a hole, and every hole with a block, as if your field has been negated. I was keeping a low stack there in case Negafield happened to spawn, but instead I got move field left, which forces everything to left, leaves you with a nice well on the right. I'm still trying to keep a low stack because I know Negafield is due very soon, and I don't want to die, because if you're stacked up too high, it will immediately kill you. And now Negafield is in play, and this is something that Tetris nightmares are made of, because I actually have a very awkward stack, and I have to be very, very careful not to make a mistake that causes me to actually clear down through that Negafield. Especially with the way I'm stacked right now, it was very much so worth it to just cover that up, and I'm going to take this transform instead. Transform is very easy to control, and I'm even going to use it to my advantage here in this series of pieces, where I'll actually make it change to a more favorable piece in this position. However, what I built to escape that Negafield death trap was in fact still putting me in a very dicey position, and I really don't want to have to take this item, but I was very much so forced into that by the game. If at all possible, I would have gotten that laser over to where the well was, which wouldn't have had any effect. Unfortunately, I got placed in a very bad spot, and this sometimes happens in item mode, which is why it's very difficult in these high gravity sections to actually get a lot of grade points and get to the highest grade in the game. I get a bit of a break here with a color block spawn. As you saw earlier, color block is not very hard of an item to deal with. In fact, you don't really have to deal with it at all. Your playfield will shimmer for the next 3 pieces to spawn, and then that'll be it. Now, I've actually managed to unlock this well and clear down quite a bit, but unfortunately this starts a series of mistakes, and you're going to see what will happen when I actually do take an unfavorable item. So I took roll here without meaning to, and roll forces the piece to rotate on its terms. Thankfully, because of the way my stack was built, I got a bit of a break with the roll, and I was able to downstack a decent bit afterward. Now, my next mistake doesn't happen immediately. In fact, I actually get very lucky here in that I get a nice Delfield upper spawn, and I'm able to build up until I get a Tetris, pushing me up to the grade S4, as well as deleting the upper half of the playfield, allowing me to get down to a nice clean stack at the bottom. Grade points wise, once you pass level 750, it's very important that you make a lot of Tetrises if you want to make it to the highest grades. Unfortunately, the items in this game don't always allow that. Now, I've got a Delfield lower spawned here that I would very much so like to clear, but the randomizer's putting me in a weird position. Thankfully, I managed to get a very nice item spawn, and I got a Del even right afterward. So I'm getting not that bad a treatment from the items here, but I'm not clearing a bunch of Tetrises at the moment either, because I've been deleting stuff thanks to the good items. My next mistake happens here, where I accidentally take this hard block item with an impulse decision. I wasn't paying enough attention. I accidentally clear through the item, forcing me to play around it. I'll have to clear out those metallic looking blocks twice. Thankfully, through practice, I've gotten very good at stacking around certain blocks, and I'm able to actually get some Tetrises out of this hard block, but I immediately get hit with a 180 field. And I try to build around the 180 field, but unfortunately I end up taking it with this Tetris here. And I thought it might not put me in a bad spot, but it actually put me in a really, really bad position. That's especially true at this point in the game, because the pieces are coming quickly as well as the items. I'm going to get hit with an X-ray here, but I feel like I actually handled this X-ray relatively well. I was able to downstack, do some twists, and then, despite the fact that I made a mistake with that eyepiece right at the end, I'm not in a bad position. I'm still able to build and clear out a lot of Tetrises at this point, which will hopefully push me up to the max rank. This move field right here definitely helps, because I'm able to score 2 consecutive doubles, which is actually worth as much as 1 Tetris in this game, and then I'm able to clear down very quickly as the fastest section of the game begins. Getting hit by a mirror block at this time is not that bad. I have a very low stack, and it's actually one of the more manageable bad items. So I'm still building, being very careful. I'm going for S9, which is the max rank in this game, so I only need a couple more Tetrises. Unfortunately, I'm going to get hit with a shotgun as well as a couple of misdrops very quickly, and this I thought was going to spiral out of control, but I managed to regain a modicum of control over the game. Unfortunately, I immediately take a shotgun and lose my modicum of control over the game. So I'm very impulsively reacting and just trying to stay alive at this point. Fortunately, I was very close to the max rank in the game, and I happened to get it with the very last clear. A couple of items to go, and then I'm allowed a brief moment of celebration here before yet another challenge begins. As we all know, the most exciting part of Tetris the Grandmaster happens to be the invisible credit roll, and while you can see the pieces for the most part at the moment, I happen to get a nega field in the credit roll, and there seems to be some sort of code in the game that'll actually cause a dark block to spawn every single time you're in a credit roll as well. The nega field left me in a pretty bad situation, so I'm just going by what I can currently see. I'm not trying to guess what I can't see because it's disappeared below in the play field, and I'm just trying to keep the field as low as possible. I took the exchange field just to buy myself a couple of seconds, because all you have to do is survive this credit roll, and I know that I'm about to get hit with this dark block. So I take the dark block, and Tetris the Grandmaster's most popular segment begins. Coming out of the dark block, you actually don't get the rest of the playfield revealed as you normally would, because it's pretty much all disappeared as part of the fading credit roll. So at this point, I'm literally just trying to survive. I get a lucky free fall here, which clears out so many lines right at the end. And then I have a weird visual glitch you can see there on the screen. But after much celebration, because I had finally gotten the highest grade in this game, I decided to submit it to Summer Games Done Quick 2018, and I hope to see you there.